Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside. Today we are in St-Bruno, and joining me is co-founder of Boswell, Nicolas.
Hey there.
Thank you very much for hosting us today. This has been in the works since the pandemic started. I look forward to drinking some beer and talking about the history of both this Boswell in Saint-Bruno and the one in the Plateau.
Very nice to finally meet you, Karp.
Thank you very, very much, actually. I really appreciate this. Let's start with the beer, though. You brought me out some tasty looking beers. What am I starting with?
I think a good way to start would be with the Grisette.
Okay.
Like a classic lower in alcohol Saison Belge and Belgian Saison. There's a hint of, in English it's going to be hard, sorry for translation, but chamomile.
Okay.
Chamomile?
Chamomile? Yeah.
So I should have just guessed it then. So there's a hint of that in there, and we like to do pretty straightforward stuff. Stick to the classics, stick to the definition, to the type of beer that it's supposed to be. We're trying to do. We have our touch, obviously, but most of the beers you'll drink today, they're not supposed to blow your mind with its new way of thinking or its weirdness or whatever.
A toast?
Yeah, toast. Cheers.
Yeah, nice, clean. Chamomile's not like overpowering in any way. Yeah.
We like
little bit of graininess. Very, very tasty beer. Solid beer. I mean, I've had a bunch of your beers before, so since you guys are one of the, as we mentioned, one of the older generations of the breweries here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, speaking of that, what is your history and Boswell's history? What made you lead to the creation of Boswell?
I think I was working toward opening a brewery before I even knew I wanted the brewery. Actually, even when I was a little kid, I was, like being a waiter or catering at my parents' house during dinners and stuff like that with friends when they had friends over. But I ended up working in restaurants and bars. I was barely 18, and I went from dishwasher to busboy, bartender, waiter, and stuff. And as soon as I was, I think, 21, I started working at Le Saint-Bruno, downtown on Saint-Denis Street, downtown the Latin Hood in Montreal. And this is where I met the co-founder of Boswell, Philip. And he was also a bartender there at the time. And we sort of started getting more and more implicated in the business. And then he grew to be a brewer, and I grew to be a head manager at one point there. We then started thinking, hey, maybe we should open our own thing. And it happened after many, many years. Yeah. So that was 8 years or so ago. And we opened, we're on our 8th year now. Yeah. So it's been a while actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I saw on Facebook you guys recently did your 8-year anniversary in the Plateau location, or it's coming up very soon.
It's coming in October.
Okay,
So we're not too big on anniversaries. I mean, on a year per year basis, but we'll definitely do something bigger for the 10th.
Yeah, wow, that's a big number.
Yeah, it's coming up soon enough.
Especially with everything that's going on right now, more breweries are closing than opening, but you guys still seem to be doing. I mean, second location, that's huge, right? So.
Yeah, and speaking of the economy and everything, I think it was a bit of a move to avoid being squeezed in this situation so many breweries are facing, because it's hard, man. It's not an easy business. No. It's not easy for us either. I mean, we're working really hard and times are tough for everyone, even us. But we were with the opportunity to buy this place, to buy it back actually, and to open it. It was a very, very good deal, and then opening sort of made sense to have a little bit more synergy going on between the two places, a bit of, we already have managers, we already are owners, we don't need a second salary, but we can still open a place with all the experience and have a few shortcuts there, not repeat the past mistakes that we made, and we made a bunch of them, so we've learned something at least, and that helps for sure.
I'm sure because I know this used to be Boutique Cheers' taproom, and then Boutique Cheers unfortunately vanished.
Yeah.
You guys saw that opportunity, you're like, oh, there's already some stuff in place. Let's look into getting this place.
Yeah, and it was a very good deal because, well, they went bankrupt.
Yeah,
so
okay.
like we took it back, not from them, but from loaners, let's say, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the details.
Yeah,
but
no.
It was a pretty good deal. However, we clearly underestimated the amount of money that needed to be put back into place because, you know, it wasn't feeling like it was Boswell's and it needed to. We cannot, like, we have people coming in and being like, oh, I moved 2 years ago from Montreal to South Shore. I'm so glad you guys opened. It's like you're following me and stuff like that. But if they move in here and they're like, oh, it doesn't look like you guys, it doesn't feel like you, we don't recognize the brand or the menu or whatever. So we had to put a lot more money in it, and it was a lot of work, but we're so glad we did it though.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, much smaller. It's not the Plateau. Plateau is like constantly busy. The St-Bruno, South Shore in general doesn't feel as crazy busy. Maybe the 10-30 down the street, but South Shore in general, I have a bunch of friends who live out here, and it's just like, it's chill. In Montreal, it's like, crazy, you got to keep going. So it must have been a big shift from almost always being busy in the Plateau, minus the pandemic the last couple of years, to a little more relaxed out here.
You're so right about this. It's much different because, like, we try to recreate a bit of the menu, the tables and stuff like that, but then it's a much smaller place. It has, inside it has 32 places, 32 seats, while in Montreal we have 130. Like, it's almost 100. The difference of seats between the two places is 100 more or less, and then it requires a lot less staff, but then the organization that goes around it is quite different as well.
Yeah.
And it's something I really like too. The lower key, quieter environment, it gets busy for sure, but it's just, to me, it's very nice because I walk in here and I get to meet, it's more intimate. I get to meet the customers and to greet the staff in a different way than in Montreal, where everyone is always busy running in front of their laptops, working hard, sweating and stuff. Here, there's another groove going on, and it's nice. It feels good.
I can already tell the difference. I mean, I've been to the Boswell Plateau location a bunch of times, and I see people like working on their laptops, drinking a beer, and like, or school, because you have all the CEGEPs and universities not too far away. It's people just, I need a beer to calm down, and you have Wi-Fi, I'm assuming, at both locations, so it's somebody come in and, I'll just finish up a project and enjoy a really good local beer. So
yeah, and here too, like we have stuff that we would never say in Montreal. We have people coming back from a hike or apple picking during the season and stuff like that, because the Mont Saint-Bruno is so near. There's a lot of outdoor people stepping out of their very fancy bike and their suits and all that stuff, and they come here, they grab a beer, and they're going home because it's really downtown Saint-Bruno is really a neighborhoodly, lively place. People know they're downtown here. Like, they have an emotional feeling attachment to it. So it's the crowd is different too, and it's nice to discover it along the way.
Yeah. I don't remember, because I'm noticing the art on the walls. You don't have that at the Plateau location, right? Or is that
art? Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. We've always put a lot of effort in finding local artists that are. Actually, the art we have right now is from one of the employee that's working here. She's doing really fantastic stuff. Yeah. She's sold quite a few actually.
That's good.
So
you're keeping the employee kind of basis type of thing going.
So. A lot. Yeah.
That's amazing.
We love to do that.
Awesome. Where's the name Boswell come from?
You might know the Boswell, the first brewery from history. Okay, so I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but basically Philip and I, we were working hard on our project. We had a project name that we didn't like and that didn't fit. We knew it and we couldn't find a name. Like, we had so much, I think, good ideas about what we wanted to do as a menu, the kind of glass we want to serve the beer in and stuff like that. And looking for a name was really hard. And then I was listening to the radio, and I heard a historian talking about the first breweries that opened in the Quebec province over 100 years ago. And
that aren't Molson.
Well, Molson is one of the first, but actually quite not the first. And Boswell was there before, and it took... Boswell Brewery was the one that replaced, let's say, the one that was founded by Jean Talon. That like the very first brewery was one c'est la Brasserie du Roi by Jean Talon, something like that. And then they just shut it down. And this guy Boswell, who was living in Ireland, if I'm right, if I'm correct, and he then studied beer in England, and then decided to travel in North America because he wanted to, like a new country and stuff like that.
For sure.
Opportunistic man, did well. Opened a brewery that lasted for 100 years until 1950 approximately, when it crashed with the Dow beer scandal that most of us know about. And then I heard that name. I knew it was not up in the air anymore. It had an interesting historic feature. My family comes from the Quebec region, so I felt there was a link there, and also because my father and older people I knew still used Boswell as like a sort of a slur, slang expression.
Interesting.
And that comes from the publicity that this brewery used to do back in the days, where there was a little storyboard where people would end up saying, this day is going fine, or this day is really way too hot, and it ended with, Boswell, I need a beer. And that was like the publicity, the marketing that they used to do. So Boswell became a real word used in everyday languages for some people around the Quebec region. And I thought it was so nice. But I insist on the fact that we never intended or expected us to retake the branding or the tradition from the historical brewery. We're doing our own stuff. And we're certainly not like playing the historic card with, like a museum artifacts around the place and stuff like that.
Yeah, very cool. All right, what's the next beer I got here?
Next beer, the New England IPA, but however, this one is a session.
Okay.
The color is not usually what you'd expect from a New England IPA, but the taste is on point.
Amazing.
I hope for you, as it is for me.
Yeah. Super light, very sessionable, crushable, as I say. This is a good sit on a patio and drink a bunch of these. Within reason, if I'm driving. I mean, St-Bruno is a little more spread apart. So if I have a designated driver, I can have a bunch of these.
That's the can right here, actually. And if I'm correct, it's 4% of alcohol. So it's meant for that. It's meant for, let's have a pint, not worry. It's tasty, it's full of hops, it's dry hop, obviously, and everything, but it's not too much. No hop burns.
No, not at all.
Not at all. We don't like it though. Like I know it could be a trend maybe or something like that, but we're trying to avoid that as much as possible.
No, it's as other people say, it's a lawnmower beer. It's you're mowing the lawn and you're having a nice light beer.
Lawnmower beer. That's a good. Yeah, I'm trying to find some. That's very funny actually, because sometimes I'm like, okay, what beer goes with a specific activity? Like I think like a cream ale, like a blonde beer could go with the baseball game, perhaps. But this with lawn mowing, it's perfect, man.
Awesome.
Well played.
Yeah, thanks. So I know you brew at both locations. Is one kind of just flagships, and this is, let's say, seasonals or experimentals, or it's just all around, we're brewing beer at both?
This is a hard question for us right now, because we're not done yet with the general orientation of this new brewery there. Let me explain. It's just like for right now, it's a new setup of equipment. We're not completely satisfied with the equipment that we have. We're still fine tuning it, improving it and stuff. We're waiting for some replacement parts and stuff like that. But so far, in order to keep quality as much as possible, we're only brewing what we are already brewing in Montreal to make sure that we know the system, we know how to produce it, we know all the specs of it and what it does. But as soon as we're going to get a bit more comfortable, we really intend to have a brewer come in here, hopefully with some experience in another brewery, that this guy or girl is going to have its style and start to push, along with the classics, a lot of new stuff that you won't find in Montreal. That's where we're heading, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you want clients to come to both locations, clearly. There's no question about it. It's come to both.
Yeah.
support local, support us at the same time. So that's
exactly.
super important.
But like for the cans, they're all done in Montreal.
Yeah.
So they're because of the equipment that we have there. But they're usually sort of our flagships for most of them. And this is what you get in Saint-Bruno right now, which is not bad. Actually, we have a few of them, and there's plenty of choices and stuff. Yeah.
And so you do food at both locations as well?
Yeah.
Is there a huge difference between the menu, or are they kind of as close as possible?
There's a huge difference, I would say,
Okay.
because the kitchen here is really, really small, and we had to work like miracles and wonders to find the proper smaller equipment that still is commercial grade enough, performing enough to do the trick. And however, we don't have fryers here.
Okay.
We don't have the grill that we have in Montreal. So no steaks, no fried cheese curds that are really popular in Montreal. And doing that, we started to realize that the kitchen is also needs to have its personality. Like there are clearly links, like the candied jalapeno that we put on the fried cheese curds in Montreal are on the nacho here.
Okay.
So then the grilled nacho plate has the same jalapeno, the same recipe. There are hints like that, like wings, I would say, almost. Like, but for the most part, it's quite different.
Yeah. And now, is your chef kind of inspired by your beers, or is your brewer kind of inspired by your chef? Like, how does that dichotomy work?
We felt when we opened Boswell and we had a kitchen, for us a caveat to avoid was the idea that because we're a brewery, everything has to be beer based or cooked with beer and stuff like that. So we have the idea that the chef must have his own like way of creating, flying, and doing all kind of stuff they want. Okay. And they've recently come up with a very delicious homemade ramen noodle balls and stuff. But they also like do incorporate beer sometimes. But the question we always ask ourselves when a plate is coming up or beer is coming up is what would be the good match between them? Because if you sit at one of our table, for sure, if you ask a server, a waitress, what goes well with this plate, or what beer goes well, or what plate goes well with this beer, they'll have one or many answers to give you, because we do intend to have there are connections regardless of what was inspiring each and one another. But for sure, sometimes we have discussions around, let's say, the burger and stuff like that. Like it must be going around the classic. It must fit the idea of a brewery. Yeah.
And when it comes to your, as I call them, beer tenders, are they Cicerone certified? Do you look into getting people who know their stuff about beer, or you really train your beer tenders to suggest stuff for people's palates?
When we opened Boswell 8 years ago, we started, the first thing we did was ask all our waiters to come up with the Cicerone beer
certification.
Yeah, beer certification. Yeah. It's not like there's a certification for waiters anyway.
Yeah.
And we started that, and it was a really good way to open up with staff knowing their beer very well. Now that we're more mature and we have a much more stable team, what we do is that we don't ask for the certification, but we have a lot of training in-house. We have, they can always ask colleagues and talk with the brewers and the staff, but we also have like documentations, and we have like a book where it says the do's and don'ts of beer glasses and cleanliness and all that kind of stuff. And we do put a lot of effort in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to know, like, whenever I go to a place, that the people who are talking about what I'm going to have know what they're talking about. You can hear it clearly in the passion of their voice of what they're talking about. So that's the important part. Is I really enjoy craft beer. I'm hoping the person who's serving it to me knows something about it. So.
Oh yeah. And you can tell like when someone is not listening to you, or is like, and even in a regular restaurant, when you go to a table and you're like, hey, I don't know, man. It's my first time here. Can you help me out? What's surprising, interesting? What's your flagship here? And they're like, well, everything is good. I don't know. It depends on what you like. It's come on, man. You must have an opinion about something, and it's really important for the experience.
It's the same. I like to go to a place and like, what are your flagships? What are this? Okay, let's do a flight of a mix of everything. Is what we're doing right now. I like to try a little bit of everything. It's there, especially at breweries. There's not just 4 beers anymore. There's 12 or 20, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, what can I pick? And can I have enough where if I do a flight, sometimes a flight, you could do all 8%, and you're like, oh, I'm not driving anytime soon. So and really having that person to help you make that decision is always very, very helpful.
Yeah, and to me and to our staff too, like it's more than just knowing like what hop is in that beer and that kind of stuff. It's also about understanding what the customer wants. How do you go from a very strong or hoppy beer and trying to land somewhere smoother, because it's not always full of taste and full bodied, and you don't want that for the whole evening. So anytime you need to switch, you have to make something that you're still going to taste, you're still going to have a pleasant evening. It's about that. It's about having fun and not being only like sniffing the beer and rating it and stuff like that. It's also about like help me enjoy, help me discover while having a good, fair, balanced experience throughout the night.
Plus, with adding food, you don't want anybody burning out their palate. So
absolutely.
You want both for sure. So at this location, St-Bruno, you have a boutique next door.
Yeah, we do.
What's the big difference of like having a boutique now instead of just selling beer on location?
It's so much more complicated. That's the difference. I'm kidding. I've as a kid in all the dreams I already talked about when I was younger, but don't want to overemphasize this. But like having a grocery store or having some sort of boutique was always in my mind. Every time I go in a specialized store with new ingredients, new food from, even more so if it's from another country, like I really enjoy it. And having this opportunity, I was really excited to open a boutique. It's a lot of work though, and it's not something that we are, I must admit, it's not something that we are used to run. It's not something that we're not professionals in that matter yet. We're getting there, we're working really hard, but I'm still very proud of what we did. We have like 98% of everything you'll find there that's made in Quebec. We made a huge effort to have a very good diversity of all kinds of bites, foods, everything you need for snacks and beer and wine and stuff between friends. All made in Quebec, all local, all really, I think, tasty and special and original in their way. So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of pimenterie. I saw some local chip makers. And even some other breweries there. And that's kind of sharing the love is, buy our beer, but also here's our friends.
We do hold quite a lot of different breweries and wine and cider as well and stuff. But I'm also very proud of some of the finds I have. Instead of chips, it's over there in Saint-Hubert. It's like 10 kilometers away. It's called Plataninas. They're a very small team in a small place, and they do chips with plantain bananas. It is delicious, man. It's like chips. It's a lot healthier, a lot more nutrients in there, and the taste is super good. Like my kids love it, my friends love it. Like every time I bring this to a party, people will like, whoa, this is really good, really interesting, really different. It's super cool. I like it. This kind of business exists now here, and it's very nice. And there's a lot of little discoveries like that we made with the opening of the boutique.
And I know, like Quebec law, you have to have a certain amount of food as well in your boutique. So it's pretty crazy. It's such a big difference from every province to every state to everything else. Like all the laws when it comes to that stuff. And I believe you're part of the AMBQ. You're one of the heads of the AMBQ.
Absolutely.
So
I'm on the.
You're on the board?
Yeah, I'm on the board.
So is that involved with like how Quebec beers laws are evolving? Like, do you have any say with the current CAQ government of let's fix things for the breweries here?
Yeah, there's a lot of work still that still needs to get done in that matter. You've mentioned it already. Because the permits for alcohol, they date back like 100 years ago, and they've never, like sometimes you can create a law and then amend it just to, like to correct but now it's not like that. It's this law that's 100 years old, and amendments and changes and tweaks and this and that, and it looks like something that is impossible to comprehend. It's been because it's been changed for like over and over, and it's not coherent. It has a lot of difficulties and absurdities even that are into it that are really hard to understand or to deal with as a business owner, as a brewery owner. And one of them is everything regarding the tag, that like the difference between a beer that's sold in a brewery or a beer that's sold in a bar or in a grocery store. Yeah. And most customers are not even aware of this, but to us, it's a lot of management, it's a lot of trouble. And because let's say like in Montreal, I'm canning this product, right? That's not supposed to be here right now, actually. So I'm canning this product. It's only meant because there's no tag for bars. It's only meant for sale in a grocery store or in a beer store or whatever, with the specific kind of permit that are required for grocery stores. Let's say that even in my bar, I want to sell this can. I can't. I need to tag it. But it's brewed. Yeah. It's brewed 10 meters. Like it's the same building, same place, same address, same everything, same business. I would have to be tagging this before putting it in a fridge that's in the bar and serving it to a customer.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's wild. It's unnecessary. Yeah. Like obviously this is not contraband. It's my beer, my system.
Yeah. I can't remember where in Quebec too, because I remember it was I ordered something on draft and like it's not on draft. They took their can out, they put a sticker on it, and then they poured it, and I'm like, what's that for? They're like, it's a law. I'm like, that seems crazy to me, but
yeah, it is. Yeah. And there's been some work to remove that or get rid of it, but then there's like there's law regarding fiscality, and there are laws regarding public safety and stuff, la sécurité publique, and they all have a say in this because la régie des alcools, it's an organism that belongs to many government instances, and they all want their input, like they all want their say. Like I need to defend my right to levy tax on the beer and all that kind of stuff.
Speaking of that, I got another beer here to try. Yeah. What's this?
That's like Gose blood orange. Gose.
Oh yeah, definitely getting blood orange on the nose.
Speaking of flagship, this is definitely one of them. It won, I don't know if you're aware of this, if you knew this already, but it won second place at the new Canada Beer Cup last year.
Okay, yeah. I'm seeing a lot more Quebec companies starting to enter the Canada Beer Cup too. So.
Well, it used to be another name run by another organization. Now all the AMBQ, all the provincial associations of brewers have come together to found the Canadian Association of Microbreweries, and this organization now has this festival that was its first year last year, and because of that, because it felt more impartial, more owned by us for us, and that's why a lot of Quebec microbreweries went into the contest last year, and it's going to repeat itself probably this
usually
year.
When
hopefully
myself and my friends would get together, we look and it's like, oh, Quebec won this award, let's go try that beer. Oh, Quebec won this, let's go try that. Or thankfully Ontario's right next door, so it's like, oh, let's try the Ontario beers. As kind of the head of the or one of the board members of the AMBQ, do you see a future where beer will be available across Canada from every province?
Well, there are also a lot of consideration in this regard. I can see that like some breweries even in Quebec would like that, but others wouldn't, because the laws regarding distribution, pricing, and all that are different from a province to another. There's always someone saying that there's unfair or undue advantages or economic advantages if you're brewing in a province instead of in another, it will need a lot of work for that to happen, I think. There's a lot of resistance amongst all the breweries and all the other parties implied, concerned by this. It's actually a lot easier to export in the States.
Yeah, I know, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's so weird to hear that like, it's easier for a Quebec beer to get in the US than it is just Ontario right next door or in the Maritimes. It's a little wild to me, especially because as this part of Canada, we're so close to the US, and you just go to the US and you go to a store and I could buy beer from Texas.
Yeah.
But I'm in Vermont. So
yeah.
And to me, I'd love to see the love shared across Canada when it comes to brewing. I'd like people in BC to be trying Quebec beers and be like, okay, I got to travel to Quebec for beer. I got to travel to the Maritimes for beer. I got to go here for beer. So personally, I'd love it as a consumer. As a business owner, I couldn't really.
No, well, I find it unfortunate as well. I know all the talks about it and everything, and it's, in the end, products that travel and people knowing more about beer and discovering, and that's the main goal, right? Like, we want people to like the product and to share the love. But yeah, like, I truly understand how I would, as a producer, say, like, I don't mind beers from Ontario. I would also really much like to pay their tax level on their tax rate on production, because mine is not nice at all. And like, if we can, put them on par, maybe we'll talk about exporting and exchanging the beers. And, like, that's part of the talk. Like,
you can only hope for the future of shared beer across Canada. Just at least Canadian beer across Canada. We don't have to worry about the US anytime soon. So
no, we don't.
I've heard that you guys don't really have music at either location. Is that right?
You mean live music?
Yeah, live music.
Yeah, in Montreal, we're just not allowed.
Okay.
We had to go through. We're talking about rules and laws for the last few minutes, and this is another good one. Like, because there are, like, the provincial level, but also at the municipal level, we had to compromise on a few things. We had to go through a special, I don't remember the name, but it's called like a special project, blah, 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 because to open in our location, because we needed so much space for the brewery, we had to ask a special permission to the municipality, so they would give us the permit for occupying the space as a brewery. Otherwise, we would have been refused, and we would never have gotten our license, our brewing license. So one of the conditions, because of fear of disturbing the neighborhood and the neighbors and stuff, was to never host a live show. We did exceptionally, like, I think 3 times, but these were like very in accordance with municipality rules, that we had a special permission for that. And it's grown out to be very complicated and costly and everything. But basically, we're not allowed to. And here in Saint-Bruno, it's a very small space, as you can see. So, like, and you need an extra permit with the Régie des Alcools too to host shows. Okay. Where you have to have a special setup. Like, you cannot just, like, say to a musician, go in the corner and play your thing. You have to prove that you have a stage that is, there are limits to it and safety regulations and stuff like that. Plus, you need to get it approved by municipality. And it's costly, and it takes up a lot of space. So here in Saint-Bruno, there's no doubt we'll never have it, though. Yeah.
So I've always found that wild is, like, some places you have to have, like, penny pasta if you want to buy a beer, because they have a restaurant license and not a brewery. And I'm like, it's so complicated for no. As a consumer, I want things simple and done for me. And that's it.
It has changed in Quebec, though. You know that you can buy alcohol without buying food in a restaurant now. Okay. But the restaurant must be fully open. Like, if they close the kitchen, they have to stop selling you alcohol without a meal. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. But we see that more and more now. Yeah. Bars opening with a restaurant permit. You can see it in almost every borough in Montreal, and here is things are shifting, with obviously
money increasing for a lot of places is, okay, let's make the rules a little simpler to bring something in for somebody new to try, and, let's get this place nicer. And Saint-Bruno is already a very nice town, so just coming in here, I was sure, yeah, no problem. And whereas the Plateau, a lot of rigmarole you had to go through to get that going, so.
Well, yeah, and the amount of love and good comments we've had opening in Saint-Bruno, the people discovering our place or just thinking it's nice to, I think there was really a place to feel here in downtown, and people are really glad we opened up, and they're glad we're offering more than beer too. It used to be a strictly beer on tap place here, and we've heard a lot about how they needed a bit of a food menu and a bit of a cocktail and a wine menu too. So we're offering that the same way we're offering it in Montreal, and people respond super well to this.
A super nice patio as well, or terrace.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. Oh yeah. When it's sunny out there, there's a lot of people. People really enjoy the terrace.
I'm sure this week too. This week that we're just coming off of being so hot, people enjoying a beer outside and just calming down. And as you mentioned, taking a bike ride, it's like, okay, I'm going to grab a beer. Or coming from the mountain, okay, let's go grab a beer on the way home, and you're not far off the highway, so it's pretty convenient.
Yeah, it is, and people do enjoy the meeting after work kind of thing around here for people working locally, or people let's say you work here and your friend is from Montreal. Okay, let's meet close to home. Yeah. When we've crossed the bridge already, when that is over with. And we have a lot of people like that here, and plus there's a huge parking, and on a South Shore, it's so different from Montreal. Montreal, you can close the street and people are still gonna come in, but here, the huge parking is definitely something people expect.
Especially with how bridges are constantly closed back and forth. It's like, instead of the person from Saint-Bruno going to Montreal, they'll be like, I'll just stay here for a beer. It's so much easier now.
Yeah, exactly. I still do travel to Montreal every week though, but...
I mean, speaking of that, because you are a co-founder, co-owner, how does divvying up kind of both locations work with you and your partner?
The way we do is that he's becoming more and more the guy who's in Montreal, and I'm becoming more and more the guy who's in Saint-Bruno.
Okay.
However, I do still go at least twice a week in Montreal for meetings, for deliveries, because I do deliver the cans myself, and I do a lot of stuff and accountability and stuff like that. But I live on a South Shore. I moved from Montreal 3 years ago, actually. So opening in Saint-Bruno, I grew up on the South Shore too. I know a lot of people here. For me, it's much more my hood, my environment than it is for my partner, who's always lived in Montreal, doesn't have a car, and doesn't want to. And it's fine, actually. But he still loves it here, and he's put a lot of effort here. It's just that I don't know. We've been working together for like I said, before we opened. So I think it's been 15, 16 years we've been working together.
It's a long partnership.
Yeah, and we know each other very well. It happened naturally. It's like, hey, that's a good move, and then we're all comfortable where we are, and it's great, actually.
Amazing. I got another beer here to try.
Yeah, talking a lot, and I think I'm almost forgetting what it is.
Is this a bitter? Smells like a bitter.
Yeah, it is actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Bitter, and next will be the Tripel.
Okay.
So I don't forget next time you ask me. But yeah, this one is the bitter. It's quite popular. It's growing in popularity a lot, actually.
I'm a big fan of the bitter. It's such a classic style that when you can get it, it's amazing. You're running low, but a toast.
I will pour myself a drink right now, I think.
So, I mean, clearly you're a very, very busy man, but let's say some time opens up and you could take a brewery vacation somewhere that you've never been before. Where are you going? Anywhere in the world. You got 2 weeks to just visit breweries. Where are you going?
I think I would either try the breweries in Mexico.
Interesting.
Because the scene is growing there. I've heard a lot about it. I know it's not well known for it, but there's a scene there. So I would like to pioneer that, or straight to Germany, because I've never been. I've been in Belgium. I've been in Czech Republic. They have awesome beer there, obviously. In France, they have wine and beer too. But anyway, I've been in England. So I haven't done a lot of microbreweries in England, though. I could go back there and do it. But Germany, I have not, and I love their beer.
Yeah.
And it shows in many beers that we're brewing, we're a lot about, like, there are no style that we don't want to do or don't do, but we do a lot of German, East Europe inspired or England beers.
Yeah.
If you've noticed, like the bitter, the Gose, we have, West Coast IPA is American. But, Paulette Mavet, we love to do pills and Untappd in Montreal. I think we still have the Schwarz beer. That is one of my favorite. Philip is brewing, one of my favorite ever. That's totally my kind of beer. That's my style.
I mean, even my father said just how much beer has changed over the years, because it's just everything was either like Molson or local beers were very Belgian inspired, and now just how everything's like changed and all this flavor. And my father's older, and he's like, "Oh, I'm enjoying beer again." I'm like, "Okay, but you're older, so you got to calm down on what you consume, because you're going to be 80 this year. Just calm it down."
When I was in Belgium, I mean, they have amazing beer culture. They have an incredible beer culture, actually, an historical one, and they have a lot of delicious beers. But then they are strong, they are sweet, and even when I was much younger, when I went there, like a hangover from quadruple and triple and strong Belgian ale is really hard on the stomach and the head. Like sugar, a hangover on sugar is the worst. The worst headaches I've had by far.
If I'm ever out there, I gotta watch out, because I'm in my mid-40s now, so it's you gotta be careful.
I know. It doesn't grow better.
Yeah, that's what sucks. Is I start getting really into craft beer, and then hangovers start happening. I'm like, no. So,
why?
Yeah, I got one more beer here to try right now.
So that would be the Tripel. Actually, it's a Tripel, the new world kind of Tripel, so a bit hoppier. Less sweet than a regular Tripel, but still. And that's a style that is gaining popularity recently. Much stronger, 8.2% alcohol, this one.
I was expecting more yeast, because usually it's a more yeast heavy, and there's not a lot of yeastiness to this. So.
No, not too much, actually.
Wow, this is what percentage?
8.2. Doesn't show, huh?
Not at all. That's very impressive, that beer.
It's well hidden.
Yeah. It's like a little bit of sweetness. Just the yeast is like right just there, so that's where it really masked that 8.2. That's a really good, really good beer. Amazing. So, what's the future of Boswell as a brand?
We're still improving the can aspect of it, and we're still developing products. One thing we haven't done, and that is in the future plans it's been in the future plans for many years, is aging beers a lot more than we do right now. We do it a little, but we have room and equipment that would be ready to go up that way by a lot, with many more different casks to age beer in. That's a thing we definitely want to do in the future. And another thing we want to do in the future is get a lot better at the boutique side of things, and with the breweries that we have, start selling kegs to customers. That's a thing we know it's popular. It's popular with small businesses and business in the tech industries. We get calls often enough to justify it. People are saying, like, look, we have a small tap room at work. I would like to buy a few 20 liters and stuff like that. So we would love to get in there with that, and to pair it with food too, because we do, like, even at the boutique, we're trying to have more and more of our own made food, like the canard, the duck prosciutto, and the salmon, the gravlax that we do, and that kind of stuff. We do package it properly to be sold in the boutique, and we'd like to improve that by a lot, and to work with local products, but also our very own specialties.
Amazing. I mean, I already enjoy the Plateau location. I have a friend who lives in Brossard, so coming here is a little more inconvenient for me, but I'm sure I could drag him out at some point to come here. But Boswell is a brand I've been a fan of for a while, so I really look forward to your future.
Much appreciated.
And the boutique is it's going to be something else. Plus, I could get your beers at my local beer shop anyways if I really want to. So
great.
And then doing a tap room at my own work would be difficult because I work from home now, so that might be dangerous.
Yeah. We need, but you know, if you end up having a tap at home,
yeah. That could be dangerous.
Hit me up.
Yeah, sitting there clicking mouse and drinking all day. Maybe it might be a little dangerous.
That's actually the reason I don't have a tap at home. Because I mean, like, we have the equipment. I know how to run it. I know, but you know, it's not even. We started drinking in the
morning. Well,
in the morning, in the late morning, but still, and it's my weekend, and I'm still having a beer.
Yeah,
there's enough beer like that. But we have to be careful. I mean, I don't want to get into this, but like, to me, as a kind of work ethic and lifestyle, having a tap at home is a dangerous thing. It's like, it's so much present every day of my life. I need to at least have some restraints.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Nicolas, thank you very, very much once again. We really appreciate you hosting us today. For those who are looking at Boswell as a brand at both locations, where can people find you?
People can find us in Montreal location, at our Saint-Bruno location, www.brasserie-boswell.com. It's very easy to have all the addresses and information. Otherwise, we are in many locations, many beer stores, mostly in Montreal and on the South Shore, a bit in Laval, all the Espace Soublon, if I can name them, and that's pretty much it.
Amazing. So we're going to add all that in the show notes if you're looking for Boswell.
Thank you, man.
Just click on the links below. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, click the like button. That always helps with the notification bell as well. As for us, allbeerinside.com is the website, at allbeerinside on all social media. And as I say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap.